Hello students, in the last part of the chapter magnetic effect of electric current, I have taught you how magnetic effect is created due to a current in a straight line, in a straight conductor and also in a circular loop. And also I have discussed about the magnetic field or the electric field created in a circular loop with comparison with the straight conductor. And also how circular loop can be used as a solenoid and how it helps us commercially as well as in the field of physics. So today we will be learning about, as I already said, that these magnetic field, electric field, they are doing a work as there is current also. So they will exert a force. Now today we will be studying where they will exert, how they will exert, and how that force helps to make an instrument or discover some instruments like electric motors, electric generators, and how we can use it in the field of physics or commercially. So first we are studying about force on a current carrying conductor. First thing you will see, current carrying conductor. The conductor should be a current carrying. It is in a magnetic field, and this whole condition, current carrying conductor in a magnetic field, will create a force, and we will be learning about that force. So for that I will be taking an experiment or an activity where I am taking AB as a rod, AB as an aluminium rod, and I am taking a horseshoe magnet or something like a semicircular magnet. And this magnet is placed in such a way that if this magnet is in this way, the rod is perpendicular to its magnetic field, and we will be passing a current through B. So what happens? When I will be passing a current, this aluminium rod will deflect either in the north or in the south, that is in the left or in the right. If I am doing it from B, then it will rotate to left. The rod will move towards left in the vicinity of the magnetic field, and if I am reversing the direction or I am reversing the poles of the battery, then it will move towards left or towards the right in the vicinity of the magnetic field of this conductor. So we have learned that the field so produced exerts a force on the magnetic field placed in the vicinity of the conductor. Vicinity means in the area. If I am saying that this is the particular place where this whole thing is happening. So what French scientists, after we have learned that there is a force exerted by the magnetic field in the vicinity of the conductor, a French scientist, Henri-Marie Ampere, or if I say Ampere, that is the unit of current, you have learned already that, suggested that this magnet also exerts equal and opposite force on the current carrying conductor, that means on the aluminium rod. And this direction of force is reversed when I am reversing the direction of current. As I already said, if I am moving, starting the current from B to A, then it is moving towards left, and if I am doing from A to B, I am reversing the poles of the polarity of the battery, then it will move from right to left. So this force from the magnetic field or from the magnet will exert this magnetic field will exert a force on this current carrying conductor, or I am saying about the aluminium rod. The direction of force on the conductor, that is the current carrying conductor, depends on the direction of current, it is from B to A or from A to B, and also the direction of magnetic field. If I am moving, direction of current is from B to A, obviously the magnetic field will move accordingly to B to A, and from it is from A to B, then the magnetic field will be from accordingly like A to B. So if I consider the direction of current and the magnetic field, if I am saying direction of current and the magnetic field is perpendicular to each other, if I am taking direction of current and the magnetic field perpendicular to each other, then the direction of force, that is the force due to the magnetic field on the conductor, the current carrying conductor, is perpendicular to both current and field. These three are perpendicular, and if I'm saying this is the current and the field, then the force is perpendicular, or if I'm taking in this way, this is the force and this is the magnetic field, and this would be the current, position of current. It means this tree, if I'm saying this angle and this angle is perpendicular to each other, and this is called a Fleming's left hand rule. If two of it is given, like if it is the current and the magnetic field, then you can see that these two are perpendicular. That means force is also perpendicular to current and the magnetic field. And you need to know which we can find with the Fleming's left hand rule, that which is in which direction. So now, I'm not going to. The devices which use current carrying conductor, if I am saying this is a current carrying conductor, and as I already said, this theory helps us to use in this theory will help in commercially or in the field of physics. And this current carrying conductor, this whole theory, the theory established by the Ampere or the Fleming's left hand rule, this whole mechanism is used in electric motors, or if I am saying about electric generator, loudspeakers, microphones, or even in measuring instruments. Measuring instruments, if it is used with the help of current and magnetic field, not all the measuring instruments. So let us first see how this theory will help us to, this theory helps in the mechanism of electric motor. So now we will be studying about the electric motor. As you heard about the word motor, electric motor is basically used in fans, in the washing machines, in refrigerators, or in computers, MP3 players. You see, when these instruments, we switch on the instrument, a sound, a vibrating sound, or a sound which is, it seems like something is running in a circular motion inside, and that is the electric motor running inside the instruments. So here we will be learning about the principle and the working of the electric motor. Remember, not the construction. But for exams, if you have to write the principle of electric motor or principle of the split rings or the brushes inside this motor, then you have to draw this diagram. Okay. So first, if I am saying about the basic how motor is being constructed, here I am taking a ABCD, a rectangular coil, insulated copper wire placed perpendicularly between the two poles of a magnet. If this magnet is in this way, the copper is placed in this way. So these two are placed perpendicularly, and they are connected to two split rings. If I am saying split rings, then rings means this is one of the ring, and split, it's divided. Split, if I am saying that it is divided into two equal halves. So P and Q are the two split rings, and inside the split ring, the inner part of the split ring is insulated, and the outer part of the split ring is conducting, and the outer part of the split ring is connected to two brushes, X and Y. X and Y are called the brushes, and P and Q I have named it as a split ring. And between this, I am making as a split. So in the region of this, in this empty region where the split is being made, I have put an axle. Axle means, if I am saying the axis of this ring, and these brushes X and Y, the ends of the brushes are connected to high voltage battery and the key. So current in the coil ABCD will enter from the source battery through the conducting brushes X and flows back to the battery from the conducting brush Y. So you see, in the arm AB, the current will move from A to B, and in CD it will move from C to D. If I am starting the source battery as from X to Y, if I am reversing the polarity of this battery, then it will from Y to X, but I am starting from X to Y. Generally motors start like that. So what happens if I am applying a Fleming's left hand rule for the direction of force? There should be a force to rotate this device. on the current carrying conductor in this magnetic field. Current carrying, this is a current carrying insulated copper wire and they are in a magnetic field. Then we will find the force. We see that the force AB, this force AB pushes the arm, pushes it downwards, pushes the motor downwards, and the force CD pushes the motor upwards. And the coil and the axle, if I am saying this coil and the axle is free to turn about an axis. They move about an axis, if I am saying axis in this way or in this way, clockwise or anti-clockwise. So first, since as I said this part is moving upwards, so at first it will move anti-clockwise, and in the half rotation, when the half it is periodically rotated half, then it will move towards clockwise. And the device that reverses the current, direction of current, since it is from this side and again first it is anti-clockwise and then clockwise, so it is reversing the direction of current, and such a device is called commutator. Here the split rings, the P and Q helps in rotating the current periodically and they are acting as the commutator. Now you see we have this is overall the principle and working of the split rings in the electric motor. But now you see, if I am using electric motor commercially, here I am showing as a magnet here, north and south, two magnets placed behind the conducting wire so that they creates a magnetic field. But in real life or in commercially, we don't have a magnet here, north or south, or no bar magnets are there. What happens? Electromagnet is used in place of these bar magnets. So you know how electromagnets are produced, as I told about in solenoid. So there should be some devices behind this in the insulated copper wire that they will produce temporarily magnetism with the help of electromagnets. Also, this, as I have said, this coil ABCD, I have shown only one round. There are many turns in this, if I am saying ABCD, and again some, if I am saying PQRS, then many n number of turns. The more the number of turns, the more is the current we are getting, or more is the force produced. And also a soft iron core is used on which the coil is wounded. A soft iron core to wound this coil. And this soft iron core enhances the power of the motor. So this is all about the principle and the working of the electric motor. As you have already written the notes are clearly written there. You don't need to write the construction, but remember, if you are writing, if the question comes about the principle of the electric motor, then you need to draw this diagram. So next we will be here using, now here we have learned how electric current is converted to mechanical energy, electrical energy to mechanical energy. Now we will be seeing that how mechanical energy is converted to electrical energy, the reverse one. So for that, first we will be learning about electromagnetic induction. So we have learned when a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field such that the current is perpendicular to the magnetic field, as according to Fleming's left-hand rule, it experiences a force, and this force causes the conductor to move just like in electric motor. Now let us imagine, or let us say that in a situation in where a conductor is moving inside a magnetic field. We already have a magnetic field beforehand and we are placing a conductor inside a magnetic field. So what happens in that? So this condition, this situation is first studied by Michael Faraday, and he gave us a discovery of to generate electric currents with the help of mechanical energy. Here we will not be using electrical energy beforehand, we will be gaining some electrical energy only by using mechanical energy. A machine is moving and it will be giving us electrical energy. So this process, first for moving this process, first condition is if a conductor is placed inside a magnetic field, then the conductor have to be a current carrying conductor. the first thing. And to detect whether the current is there or not, we have an instrument called galvanometer, which is denoted by the alphabet capital G. So to detect the current, as we already said, we will be getting an electric current if the conductor is placed inside the magnetic field. So for getting current, we first need to know whether the magnetic field is giving the conductor some electric current or not. So to determine that, I am taking a coil, this coil. I don't know whether the current is inside the coil or not. To check that, I am putting a current carrying conductor inside it. And the coil, the ends of the coil are connected to galvanometer. So what happens, galvanometer is a device just like ammeter. We are calculating how much current we are getting, or if I'm like voltmeter, how much voltage it is giving. Same as the galvanometer, it will not show how much current or how much voltage, it will just show whether the current is there or not, and the current is moving from which direction to which, either from north to south or from south to north. So there are three deflections in galvanometer. One is at 0, one is towards right, and one is towards left. So if the galvanometer is showing deflection either towards right or towards left, then we can understand that a current is induced here. There is a current in this coil. Now we can say this coil is carrying some current. As we have placed in a conductor from this, if this is the end of the coil A and B, I have placed a conductor from end B towards end A. That if the galvanometer is showing deflection towards right, then it will be saying that the current is moving from B to A, or if it is showing from towards left, then from A to B. If the galvanometer is not showing any deflection and it is placed in the mark 0, perpendicular straightly, then there is no current in this conductor. We will not say we will say no current is induced in this coil. So what happens next if I am taking another experiment? So before here we have checked whether the current is there or not. So beforehand, this coil have to carry some current from somewhere. So for that, I am taking another coil. One of the coil, if I am taking this A and B, and this is P and Q. AB is a coil, and this inside it there is a current carrying conductor, and the ends of the coil AB are connected to source battery and a key. This coil will gain an electric field. It will be charging this conductor, and magnetic field will, in this coil we are not putting any source battery or the key. The magnetic field will transfer, induced. It will be induced from this to this, from this coil AB to PQ with the help of this conductor. And this PQ will induce some current, gain some current, and then if the galvanometer is showing some deflections and it is not in the 0 point, either from it is in the left or right, then we can get that yes, this coil is gaining some current with the help of magnetic field according with the coil AB, from the coil AB. Now how much current it is inducing or how much current it is gaining, that same way the galvanometer shows if this is the 0 deflection. If the deflection here, the deflection will say how much current it is. If the deflection is slightly from 0 to here, then the current is not that much. The more the deflection, the more is the current induced from here to here. So this is called induction of current, or passing of current from one coil to another with the help of magnetic field is electromagnetic induction. As we are using magnetism, electricity and current is induced from one to another, so it is called electromagnetic induction. If I say the definition, the process by which a changing magnetic field in a conductor induces a current in another conductor. Changing magnetic field induces a current in another conductor is called electromagnetic induction. And this is showed by, if I am saying the induced current, the current here is, this is the current I am giving. and the current gaining here would be the induced current. And the induced current becomes higher when the direction of motion of coil is at right angles to the magnetic field. Direction of motion of coil is at right angle to the magnetic field. Just like Fleming's left hand rule, here we will be using the Fleming's right hand rule. So here in Fleming's right hand rule, here we have seen this is the movement of conductor, this is the magnetic field, and here we are getting the current in the induced current, conductor. So here it is in the Fleming's right hand rule. If the movement of conductor, the thumb direction and the magnetic field, the index finger, if these two are perpendicular, then the current in the induced conductor, this is the induced conductor, is highest and it is also perpendicular to this two. So this is the Fleming's right hand rule. So with this, with the help of electromagnetic induction, as I said, here I am not using a current beforehand. I am getting the current from some energy, magnetic energy or mechanical energy, and with the help of this induced current, electromagnetic induction, we will be seeing the principle and the working of electric generator. Remember, motor and generator is different here. So here in electric generator, same thing, we don't need the construction, we just need the principle and the working. So before that, let us see how generator is created or how it is constructed. Here, remember, in motor what I am using, the magnet is a electromagnet. Commercially it is used as electromagnet, but in electric generator the magnets are permanent magnet. As I already said, I will be getting an electric current and I am inducing electric current with the help of mechanical energy. So we cannot use permanent electromagnets here. This is the same insulated copper wire, but the difference is one end of the copper wire, that A, if this end is A, is connected to brush B1 and the other end is connected to brush B2, and these brushes are in the rings R1 and R2. These rings are not split rings, these are complete ring and they are covering this axle, or if I am saying the axis. Now inside of the ring is insulated and outside is conducting, and here I will be measuring, the galvanometer is placed here to measure the current, whether the current is there or not, and first we have to give the current and then the current is there or not, and they will be giving us an electric current. So first thing, in generator, as I already said, it is converted mechanically to mechanical energy to electrical energy. So now how will we getting the mechanical energy? If I say electric generator, as everyone have seen generator used in big functions, you have seen that, you have heard them. You remember, when we are getting a generator, we are either using petrol or kerosene or diesel, and that is the fuel of that generator. That is the fuel, and it will convert mechanical energy. To run the machine, to produce mechanical energy, we need some fuel, we need some source. Here we are not using a source, electric current is the source. Here we are using fuels as the source to run the machine mechanically and produce electric current, gives us electric current. So here, when I am putting a fuel in the machine, in the generator, the mechanical energy will rotate this axle. First it will rotate this axle, and the axle will rotate, the axle is attached to two rings R1 and R2. See, the axle is just inside the rings R1 and R2, and this axle will rotate this whole generator, or AB in the upward direction and CD in the downward direction. Okay, first it will move clockwise. In motor, first it is moving anti-clockwise and then to the clockwise direction, but here first the direction is clockwise, and then when it is rotating in the half time, periodically, half period, it will reverse its direction. then it will move in anti-clockwise direction. In anti-clockwise, CD, the arm CD will move upwards and the arm BD will move downwards. When I am in the same as in the motor, same in the generator, if this one coil is here ABCD, if I am adding up the coil, n number of coil, then the current gets added up and we are getting maximum current with the same mechanical energy. The number of turns, the more is the electric current produced. Thus, in every half rotation, so I already said clockwise, anti-clockwise, in every half rotation, the polarity of the current in the respective arms AB and CD changes, and such a current which changes its direction after equal interval of time, clockwise, anti-clockwise, equal interval of time, is called alternating current. As it is alternating the currents, so it is termed as alternating currents or the AC current. Everyone have heard about AC current, the current which we are using in our home supply or commercially or in shops or in factories. Now, if to get a DC current, here the rotation is periodically halved, or periodically it is divided into two parts, clockwise and anti-clockwise. If that is why we are getting alternating currents. Now, to get direct current, there are two currents you already know, AC and DC. DC, if I am to get a DC current, we can use split ring as the commutator, then we can produce DC current here. But generally we are not using DC current, we are using the AC current only. So, or I can say, when I am using split rings in place of the whole ring here, then the direction of these arms will be unidirectional, either it will be in clockwise or anti-clockwise direction. Then the generator will be termed as DC generator. So the difference between direct and alternating current or DC or AC current is that direct current flows in one direction. Here if I am using split rings as commutator, then it will be in one direction only, either clockwise or anti-clockwise, depends on the polarity of the source bed. So depends on how it is being placed here. And for alternating current is that it reverses the direction periodically, completely in half. So whatever we are using, the power stations, the current they are using produces AC current, or constructed these days produce AC current here. So in India, it depends on countries also. In India, AC current changes direction after every 1/100 seconds. That is the frequency of AC current. Frequency, if I say frequency of AC current would be 50 Hz, since frequency is 1/T. And also one important advantage of AC over DC, like everywhere we are using AC current, even in our home, in factories, commercially, even in the generators or motors we are using, is that electric power can be transmitted over long distances without much loss of energy. So this sentence generally means, like if you are asked to rotate in one direction, if you are asked to rotate in one direction, you will feel more tired than if someone asks you to rotate half, then again rotate your direction. Like someone is asking you to rotate first in clockwise and then in anti-clockwise, then you will feel less tired. Then if someone asks you to rotate continuously in one direction, if you are moving in unidirectional way, same here happens. In DC current, the current is flowing unidirectionally, so there is much loss of energy. If they are rotating periodically, there is not much loss of energy, and that is the most important advantage of AC over DC here. And also it can be transmitted, the power can be transmitted in long distances. So with this, the chapter comes to an end. Remember to learn the principles, the basic principle, the working of split rings, brushes, axle. Also remember how the split rings are constructed in motor and generator. Not the split rings, the rings here in generator and the split rings in the motor, how they are put or how they are constructed, how they are working in that particular device. What is the working of the axle, how axle is moved in motor and generator. You have to learn the basic differences, some short differences over there. And with this I'm finishing this chapter. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Till then, thank you.